ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। भागवतम कैंटो 6 चैप्टर 1 वर्स 42। सूर्योऽग्निकं मरुद्देव सोमः सन्ध्या हनीदिशः कं कुः स्वयं धर्म इति ह्येते दैह्यस्य साक्षिणः। The sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and Supersoul himself all witness the activities of the living entity. So we can't escape at all. So during the day, sun, during the night, moon. Not only that, the sky is there all the time, air, demigods, fire, day, night. So we can't really escape. The members of some religious sects, especially Christians, do not believe in the reactions of karma. We once had a discussion with a learned Christian professor who argued that all the people are generally punished after the witnesses of their misdeeds are examined. Where are the witnesses responsible for one suffering the reactions of past karma? To such a person, the answer by the Yamadutas is given here. Conditioned soul thinks that he is working stealthily and that no one can see his sinful activities, but we can understand from Shastra that there are witnesses. Where is the dearth of witnesses? The witnesses and the Supreme Lord both exist, and therefore so many living entities are elevated to higher planetary systems or degraded to lower planetary systems, including the hellish planets. There are no discrepancies, for everything is arranged perfectly. So there can't be any mistake. It's all perfectly being executed. So there's a similar verse in Vishnu Dharma. This verse is from Vishnu Dharma. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. Okay. एतैरधर्मो विज्ञात स्थानं दण्डस्य युज्यते सर्वे कर्मानुरोधेन दण्डम् अर्हन्ति कारिणः. The candidates for punishment are those who are confirmed by these many witnesses to have deviated from their prescribed regulative duties. Everyone engaged in fruitive activities is suitable to be subjected to punishment according to his sinful acts. So we have to know our prescribed regulative duties. This is the whole risk in Kali Yuga, that we don't know our prescribed regulative duties, which are given in Vedas, which is Varnashrama. And without knowing that, we are living life. So if we live life without knowing what rules and regulations there are, then when we do mistakes, uh, we should not be thinking, okay, no other devotee knows about this. Only I know about it. Not only we know, we saw so many witnesses are there who are seeing, and irrespective of whether we know or we don't know the rules, the duties, if we are breaking something, then we'll get punished. Simple. So the breaking of the rules becomes a sinful act. So the only resort, actually, in Kali Yuga, we are fortunate that we can, if we take up to Krishna Bhakti, then we are protected from all these unknown mistakes that we might do, like breaking some rules in regulative duties, etc. But that doesn't give us a license to just go, all out and break left and right, break rules. We should try to follow Vedic process, Vedic life as much as possible. But yeah, when it is inevitable, we take shelter of Krishna. And of course, the bare minimum is 4 regulative principles. So this is very, very important. So I've talked about this multiple times. So generally, gambling, okay, like too much of very high return kind of stock market investments and all that should not be done, because that will be on the border of the gambling. Intoxication, okay, pretty straightforward. I don't think many devotees get into this after coming to Krishna consciousness. But if at all anybody is, then you should avoid um, gambling, intoxication. Then, most importantly, our relations with other gender, with opposite gender. Um, Unfortunately, this is not taken very seriously. This is a challenge, because even married men, especially married men, are supposed to be very, very controlled about their interaction with other women. Uh, right. So nowadays, unfortunately, previously it used to be more discreet. Now, I mean, used to be more explicit. Now it's all very discreetly done. WhatsApp communications, SMS, private calls, this, that, and all that. All that should be stopped. It can be sometimes you might think, oh, okay, okay, no, it's just for service. But I told this multiple times. Even for service, only as much as is required. For example, I mean, if you're making a personal call to somebody, unless absolutely required, it doesn't have to be a video call. Unless absolutely required, why would you need a video call to talk with another person? So these things should be avoided, and we might be thinking, oh, okay, see, nobody knows. Nobody knows that I'm talking to this person or whatever, right? But all the witnesses are there, and Krishna is seeing. More importantly, for devotees, Krishna is seeing, right? So we should make sure that we cut down unnecessary communication with other people, especially opposite gender, right? Matajis can talk to Matajis, Prabhus can talk to Prabhus. There's no restriction. That also should not be Prajalpa, right? But absolutely communication with other genders, opposite gender, should be very, very restricted and limited only if absolutely necessary. And preferably in the presence of, if the other Mataji is also married, preferably in the presence of her husband. Uh, you know, Otherwise not required at all. And especially unmarried, I mean, men talking to unmarried women, to absolutely restricted, prohibited. Except for preachers who have responsibility, so we take it up very seriously and engage in conversations only as much as is required, and keep praying to Krishna that we don't get stuck anywhere. Uh, you know, mm. So these things are very, very important. And we have to, if we are breaking it, then it is breaking prescribed duty. Simple. It is breaking prescribed duty. And actually, it is breaking regulative principle. Because we are not supposed to get attracted, attached to other people outside marriage, right? For whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reason is. So, and that is breaking regulative principle, and then we'll be punished for it. And how will we be punished? Multiple ways we will be punished. We will be punished by having sufferings in our life. Sufferings, as in literally, like, physical suffering, mental suffering. We will suffer, especially if we are sincere. So we have to be very, very careful that we don't just go about breaking left, right, and center rules. Right? Like, unless, yes, it is absolutely inevitable, un some very rare situations. But otherwise, we have to be very, very careful that we don't break regulative principles, because that is sinful act, and then we'll get punished. Not just at the end of life. For devotees, we don't have to wait till end of life for punishment. Krishna will punish immediately, because otherwise we'll keep continuing to do that, and then we won't be able to achieve Krishna. We'll have to go to hell and other things. So that is all not, Krishna doesn't want that. So for devotees who are sincere, he will intervene and create some other situations which will take our mind away from these sinful acts that we are doing. So be careful. Just take it seriously. That's all. सम्भवन्ति हि भद्राणि विपरीतानि चानगाः कारिणां गुणसङ्गोऽस्ति देहवान् न ह्यकर्म कृत्. O inhabitants of Vaikuntha, you are sinless, but those within this material world are all karmis, whether acting piously or impiously. Mm. Both kinds of action are possible for them because they are contaminated by the three modes of nature and must act accordingly. One who has accepted a material body cannot be inactive, and sinful action is inevitable for one acting under the modes of nature. Therefore, all living entities within this material world are punishable. So this is where the Yamadutas went wrong. So they're thinking that everybody is a karmi, are all karmis. See, within this material world, those within this material world are all karmis. Not necessarily, right? And there are gnanis also, there are bhaktas also. So somehow they miss that detail, thinking everybody either acts piously or impiously. And if somebody is under the modes of nature, then inevitably they will do something wrong, so they'll have to be punished. So a little bit incomplete understanding of, uh, you know, Gnani and Bhakta's position. The difference between human beings and non-human beings is that a human is supposed to act according to the direction of Vedas. Unfortunately, men manufacture their own ways of acting without reference to the Vedas. Therefore, all of them commit sinful actions and are punishable. So please note this. So this whole chapter is about punishment, wrongdoing and punishment. That's what this is. So we better be careful and protect ourselves, prevent, doing wrong things. And if you are not aware, then we should talk. We should talk to other devotees who are aware and make sure that, this one important thing, devotees are always trying to help us. But if we don't want their help, then we will be in trouble. Right? Then we will end up doing something which is wrong, and then we'll put ourselves in trouble. So better, if you are not aware, talk to a devotee who is aware and make sure that you follow whatever uh, advice they are giving. येन यावान् यथा धर्मो धर्मो वेह समीहितः स एव तत्फलं भुङ्क्ते तथा तावदमूत्र वै. In proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, one must enjoy or suffer corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. Yeah, so this we know. Okay. Those who in the mode of goodness go to higher planets to become demigods. Those who act in ordinary way and do not commit excessively sinful acts. See, in an ordinary way and do not commit excessively sinful acts remain within this middle planetary system. And those who perform abominable sinful actions must go down to hellish life. And one of the abominable sinful action is this breaking four regulative principles is an abominable sinful action. यतेह देवप्रवरास्त्रैविध्यम् उपलभ्यते भूतेषु गुणवैचित्र्यात् तथान्यत्रानुमीयते. Oh, best of the demigods, we can see three different varieties of life, which are due to the contamination of three modes of nature. Living entities are thus known as peaceful, mode of goodness; restless, mode of passion; foolish, mode of ignorance. So those who are peaceful are actually seen as happy. Those who are restless are unhappy, or foolish are unhappy, and restless are in between, or religious, irreligious, semi-religious. The goodness is religious, ignorance is irreligious, restless is semi-religious. We can deduce that in the next life, these three kinds of material nature will similarly act. So this is our philosophy of karma that we are seeing. The actions and reactions of three modes of nature are visible in this life. For example, some people are very happy, some are very distressed, and some are in mixed happiness and distress. This is the result of past association with the modes of material nature. Since these varieties are visible in this life, we may assume that the living entities, according to their association with the different modes of nature, will be happy, distress, or between the two in their next lives also, unless they take up bhakti and follow the process diligently. Therefore, the best policy is to disassociate oneself from the three modes of nature. Be always transcendental to their contamination. This is possible only when one fully engages in the devotional service, fully. Mam cha yo abhyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya brahmabhoya kalpate. So how do we transcend the modes and remain always transcendental? Is you have to do abhyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Meaning full, unflinching, undeviated devotional service. Mm. Unless one is fully absorbed, again, we've discussed this multiple times, absorbed. Unless we are absorbed in the service of the Lord, one is subject to contamination of three modes and must therefore suffer from distress or mixed happiness and distress. So this means that absorption should take us beyond, for example, beyond our sadhana time. Isn't it? We have a sadhana time. Between this time to this time, I will read, I will do chanting. What happens after? What happens after that time? After our sadhana time? The absorption should protect us. So if we are more absorbed when we are doing sadhana, then that absorption will actually purify us and protect us. And ideal is full devotional service, right? All the time devotional service. If that is not possible, at least whenever we are doing devotional service, full absorption. So devotee is somehow, it's beneficial if somehow or other we find time to practice devotional service, even though we might be busy with our material life and responsibilities. Sometimes I see that devotees are a bit not very aggressive to take up services. They want to keep some free time for themselves. They want to keep some time for relaxing. Now, all this is recipe for associating with material nature and falling down. So, for a devotee, relaxation is Krishna's service. Everything should be in connection with Krishna's service. Only then we can save ourselves. Otherwise, pretty difficult. If you want to still have material engagements, like going and meeting relatives, going out, taking a holiday, all these kinds of things means we are willingly engaged in Maya. We are willingly associating with Maya. Then contamination is there. Contamination is ready to affect us. So, two solutions. One is fully absorbed in service, and then fully absorbed at all times in service. So there are only two options. There is nothing like mechanical devotional service won't help. No devotional service absolutely doesn't help. Mechanical devotional service also doesn't help. Fully absorbed devotional service for some time helps. Fully absorbed devotional service for full time definitely helps. Right. And only then we can come out of the contamination. Is that okay? Anybody has any questions on this? It's an important thing that we have to be clear. Okay. Okay, good. Please make note of these things. These are very, very important points Prabhupada is making.
Prabhu, chanting can be considered as a service, Prabhu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sadhana. Sadhana is also service only, just that we separate it as sadhana and service just for, just for practical purposes. But yeah, anything associated with Krishna is sadhana and service. Whatever we do in connection with Krishna has to be done with full absorption. Right. So, and of course, then there are suitable certain services to be done at certain times, recommendations, so that it will become most effective. Like chanting has to be done as early as possible because that will make it more effective. Absorption will be more. But yeah, anything in connection with Krishna, as long as that is absorbing, and if it is absorbing, then it will bring about changes in us. So, for example, if you are doing chanting and we are doing very good chanting, automatically then it will influence us and Suppose say we are not able to get up early, then it will make us get up early because that absorption is so powerful. So the key is absorption. Even if we do 2 rounds, it should be absorbed. Even if we do 16 rounds, it should be absorbed. We should be absorbed.
And Prabhuji, like Shravanam while doing other works like doing the household activities and hearing side by side, is it also
Sorry,
counting
Mataji,
counted?
I couldn't follow what you're saying. Sorry.
Like Shravanam while doing household activities, like we are cooking and
Ah,
we are hearing some lecture, that is also fine. Like
yeah, it's better than letting the mind engage in some useless thought. So definitely, at least whatever to whatever extent, some words will go into our ears. So yeah, I mean definitely beneficial, and it is recommended. It is recommended that when we are doing any other activity, whether connected to bhakti or not, Shravanam, associated Shravanam is always effective, is always recommended. Like though cooking is a direct devotional service, but we might still, if we don't have that mood of absorption directly in cooking service, then we can hear and get absorbed. Or yeah, anything else. Mm, For example, somebody is driving, they have to drive for whatever half an hour, 45 minutes. Don't chant during the time, but you can be absorbed by hearing Shravanam. Yeah, of course, we should not be too absorbed also. We should also have our focus on the road. But yes, instead of keeping the mind empty and then letting it go here and there, or hear some mundane stuff, or some news, or some blah blah blah, yeah, replace that with Krishna conscious things. It'll be powerful. Anything else? Okay. वर्तमानोऽन्ययो न्ययो कालो गुणा गुणाभिज्ञापको यथा एवं जन्मान्ययोर्येतद् धर्माधर्म निदर्शनम्. Just 1 second. Somebody's come to pick up my vehicle for servicing. Just 1 second. Yeah, sorry. Just as springtime in the present indicates the nature of springtimes in the past and future, so this life of happiness, distress, or a mixture of both gives evidence concerning the religious and irreligious activities of one's past and future lives. So this is, it'll actually, if you just see how people are living, we can understand how religious their past lives have been. And we can also say how it will be in the future. It's very simple, right? So if we have to know whether we are going to go back to Godhead or we're going to come back. If our life is completely full of devotional service and nothing else, then there's no question of coming back. If we still have some material activities that we are actively doing before the time we are giving up our body, then we'll have to come back. Simple. Now it's saying it's present indicates future. Mm, So it's a very simple thing. Our past and future are not very difficult to understand, for time is under the contamination of the three modes of nature. As soon as spring arrives, usual exhibition of various types of fruits and flowers automatically becomes manifest. And therefore, we may conclude that spring in the past was adorned with similar fruits and flowers and will be adorned so in the future also. Our repetition of birth and death is taking place within time, and according to the influence of modes, we are receiving various types of body. So this is clear, right? Simple thing to understand. Mm, I'm just seeing Vishwanath Chakravarti's backwards per commentary. Okay, so one thing is being said here in the 45th verse. To the extent of adharma or dharma performed by whatever means, one receives the result as suffering or happiness in the appropriate amount. So, how much ever we have done, accordingly we will get. And that is according to the decision of scripture. So, all these are rules. It's like a rule book which is there. Mm. Mm. मनसैव पुरे देव पूर्वरूपं विपश्यति अनुमीमांसते पूर्वं मनसा भगवानजः. The omnipotent Yamaraja is as good as Lord Brahma, for while situated in his own abode or in everyone's heart like the Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. Okay, so he's not living in the Paramatma, but like he sees by his mind the previous condition and he knows everything like Brahma. Yamaraja, however, I'm reading from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. Yamaraja, however, by his mind definitely sees everything. Situated in his city, Samyamani, Yama sees the person in his previous birth with his dharma and adharma. Afterwards, he decides the present and the future forms. He decides what is suitable for each person. He is omniscient, equal to Brahma. One should not consider Yamaraja an ordinary living entity. He is as good as Lord Brahma. He is complete cooperation of the Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, and therefore, by the grace of Super Soul, he can see the past, present, and future. So, Prabhupada is saying. He can decide in consultation with the Super Soul. Actual decisions concerning the next lives of living entities are made by the Super Soul and they're carried out by Yamaraj. So Prabhupada is making it more clear that he is an agent and Super Soul is the one who is actually deciding. And they're carried out by Yamaraj. But because externally Yamaraj is taking care of this service, it looks like Yamaraj is taking these decisions. It's just like Brahma creating. Brahma is not creating independent of the Super Soul. In fact, Super Soul actually empowers, gives him the knowledge. Tene Brahmarada Adikave. Now, similarly, Yamaraja is also empowered or given guidance by Super Soul, and accordingly he acts. यथाग्नस्तमसा युक्त उपास्ते व्यक्तमेव हि न वेद पूर्वम् अपरं नष्टजन्म स्मृतिस्तथा. As a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams and accepts it to be himself. So one identifies with his present body, which he acquired because of his past religious actions, and is unable to know his past or future lives. So we are just stuck with our identification with the present body. So we don't know our past and future. A man engages in sinful activities because he does not know what he did in his past life to get his present materially conditioned body. So we don't know actually what kind of things we have done in the past. So we dare to commit sinful activities again. So it's very, very important. Just because we don't know what we have done in the past. If we can remember, see our past and the sinful actions and the reactions because of them, we will rectify ourselves. But Shastra is actually telling us this, saying that you are suffering today, that means you've done a sinful activity. And how much sinful activity have you done? To the extent you are suffering today. So we don't have to know what exact activity we've done, because if it's a sinful activity, it results in some kind of suffering. So whenever we suffer, we should not be worried about getting rid of the suffering. We should be worried about, oh, looks like I've done some nonsense. Right now, at least I should not do. How do I not do? By taking shelter of Krishna, by understanding Shastra. Mm, you know, so we should try not to commit sinful activities. As stated by Rishabhadev, Nunam Pramatta Kurute Vikarma. Pramatta is mad. Human being who is mad after sense gratification, Kurute Vikarma, he does Vikarma, he acts sinfully. Yad Indriya Pritaya Apranoti. Indriya Pritaya, just for sense gratification. Na sadhu manye. This is not good. Yata atmanoyam asannapi kleshada asadeha. Uh, because of such sinful actions, one receives another body in which to suffer. Kleshada asadeha. Klesha. So this deha gives us klesha. So we should be careful. It should be understood that a person who does not have Vedic knowledge always acts in ignorance of what he has done in the past and what he is doing at the present and how he will suffer in the future. Ignorance, full ignorance. He is completely in darkness. Therefore, Vedic injunction is tamasima, jyotirgama. Tamasima, don't remain in darkness. Jyotirgama, come to light. The light or illumination is Vedic knowledge, which one can understand when he is elevated to the mode of goodness, or when he transcends the mode of goodness by engaging in devotional service to the spiritual master. So this is also one very, very important thing. Many times, devotees try to misrepresent facts in front of the guru, or in other words, lie. Actually, if we lie to the spiritual master, then super soul is within the heart. In fact, spiritual master will even come to know that we are lying. And it's absolutely not good. It just means that we are stuck in this, sense gratification mode, and we are committing sinful actions, though we have got shelter of a guru. So we have to be very, very straightforward and open about our current fallen condition. If we are not open about our current fallen condition with our guru, then we are just cheating ourselves. We're just cheating ourselves because nobody else can help. Nobody else can help. And it's the same relationship with whoever you are. If in case any of you are taking guidance from any devotees, then it's the same expectation that you be open and not hide things or lie, because then you're cheating yourself and you're not serious about spiritual life. And of course, it's not like you have to go about telling your personal life to everybody, right? But if you consider somebody as your Shiksha Guru or guide or mentor or whatever that is, right, then you have to make sure that at least you should be open up yourself. All the innermost, kachada in the innermost parts of your heart should be known to that person. Otherwise, it's not surrender at all. It's selective surrender. And that's not going to help. That's not going to help, right? So we have to completely surrender to Guru and whoever is helping us, guiding us. Only then things will work out. Otherwise, like this propensity to do sinful actions is there in every person. And without, we think that nobody is looking at us, and so we end up doing some wrong things, and which is going to affect us only. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru yas tasyaite katitah hyartaha prakashante mahatmanah. And to those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and spiritual master, all imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Please note this. We should have that implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master. That is why generally some people just very casually say, okay, this person is my Shiksha Guru. No, it's not a very small. First of all, if somebody wants to accept somebody as Shiksha Guru, that person should be qualified. Second, we should have the same amount of implicit faith in the Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. Same amount of implicit faith. Right? So it's very, very important, and it's not easy. So we should not simply just casually just say, okay, I'm going to take this person as my Shiksha Guru or anything. If we are wanting to consider anybody like that, then we better also surrender to that extent. We should, we should have that much faith and surrender. The Vedas enjoin tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva vigachet. One must approach a spiritual master who has full knowledge of the Vedas and be faithfully directed by him in order to become a devotee of the Lord. Of course, full knowledge in Veda doesn't mean that every aspect of whatever is given in the Vedas. Vedascha sarve rahameva vedyaha. So Prabhupada in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, one who is the expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. He is, uh, he can become a spiritual master. He is qualified to become a spiritual master. So as long as, to the extent that one is surrendered to the previous acharyas and following things on the path of bhakti, one can surrender and accept guidance from such devotees. Of course, then it's also important that the devotees whom you take guidance from also are doing what they are saying, not that doing something, saying something else, not like that. Then the knowledge of the Vedas will be revealed. When we surrender to such a devotee, then our knowledge of the Vedas will also be revealed to us. When the Vedic knowledge is revealed, one need no longer remain in the darkness of material nature. Need no longer remain. Meaning, once knowledge, once light is there, you don't have to remain in the dark. But if you choose to remain in the dark, that's your choice. According to his association with the material modes, the living entity gets a particular type of body. So if it is goodness, then Brahmana. Brahmana knows past, present, and future because he consults Vedic literature. He can be even a Jyotishi. So he has eyes of Shastra Chakshu. He can understand what his past life was, why he is in, why he is in the present body, and how he can obtain liberation from the clutches of Maya and not accept another material body. Actually, Kali Yuga is very, very strange. On one end, we have come to bhakti. On the other end, we are suffering also. That means that we've also done horrible things in our past life. But somehow, fortunately, we have come in touch with bhakti also. Previously, it never used to be like that because the process of path of progression was very gradual and it used to be somewhat holistic. Right? If a Brahmana means holistically Brahmana, not sometime Brahmana, sometime Vaishya, sometime Shudra, sometime something else, not like that. But yeah, leading up to Kali Yuga, the times are not so pure. So we end up being influenced by combination of modes. So we will have good life and also bad life. But the fortune is that we are in touch with Krishna and Krishna consciousness. So that will pull us out from all the bad life that we've had in the past and in this life also, provided we are engage ourselves completely, fully. So generally, living entities are engrossed in passion and ignorance. Generally, very few are situated in mode of goodness or transcended. In any case, one receives an inferior or superior body at the discretion of the Supreme Lord Paramatma, as stated in the previous verse. Okay, everything depends on Bhagavan. Why doesn't one please Bhagavan to receive a better body? The answer is because of gross ignorance. One who is in complete darkness is simply interested in his present body. That's all. He is like an animal. For covered by ignorance, animal thinks that the ultimate goal of life and happiness is to eat as much as possible. There's even a book called Bhrigu Samhita, which is about astrological calculations. So it reveals past, present, future. Some or other, one must be enlightened about his past, present, and future. One who is interested only in the present body and who tries to enjoy his senses, he is understood to be engrossed in the mode of ignorance. His future is very, very dark. Especially in this age, human society is covered by the mode of ignorance, and therefore everyone thinks his present body to be everything without consideration of past or future. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it is not surprising that a jiva has tendency for sin since he is not aware of his previous or next birth. He is not aware of his previous or next birth. But by the sufferings in current life, we can understand. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any questions? 2 minutes, I have to go. Anything? Okay, I need to go. He's calling me again. So we'll catch up tomorrow.